And I'm
Okay.
very pleased to be with you virtually. It's the first time I've done a real virtual conference on a topic, and I'm very interested in doing it. But I need you to assure our future. I want to assist you with your future. The ASHRAE brand and tagline is shaping tomorrow's built environment today, which you did refer to in your introduction, Alfred. So we are very interested as an organization in shaping the built environment today, which is going to be there for a long time in the future. We are now approximately 57,000 members strong globally in 137 different countries. So we really truly are a global organization. Our mission is to serve humanity by advancing the arts and sciences of heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration, and their allied fields. Our vision is a healthy and sustainable built environment for all. So we are very interested in the human society, and we want to do what we can to make their environment the best we can and to make it healthy. And that's quite a topic these days with COVID-19. Our 5 core values are excellence, commitment, integrity, collaboration, and most importantly, in my mind, volunteerism. That is the heart and soul of ASHRAE, is how we work with our volunteers. I plan to talk about the structure of ASHRAE, reasons you would join ASHRAE, how ASHRAE supports student activities, and the career opportunities in the HVAC&R industries. ASHRAE is organized into student branches, and for all members, sections, chapters, regions, and our great society. And you certainly are not alone, as there are more than 439 student branches globally. They are all over the world, as you can tell, within those 137 countries. So you definitely are not alone. ASHRAE volunteers also participate through our 197 worldwide chapters, our 15 worldwide regions, which includes the region of Europe, which is our latest region, and our society where you participate in the activities of ASHRAE. Society acts as the central clearinghouse for our research, standards development, and sharing our knowledge through publishing and education programs. Our head office is in Atlanta, Georgia, and has approximately 100 staff supporting these activities, but the work is embedded in our volunteers or with our volunteers. ASHRAE's board of directors is elected by the members and is responsible to the members for the care of all ASHRAE funds, development of society policies, direction of staff functions to meet our goals, strategic plan development, and general oversight of all the functions of ASHRAE. There are 3 society councils. There's the Members Council, the Technology Council, the Publishing and Education Council. The councils implement the board policies through their respective reporting standing committees. The 21 standing committees produce valuable products like our handbooks, our standards, our research, society programs, and grassroots activities. These committees are the backbone of our collective effort to advance the arts and sciences of HVAC&R. This is the ASHRAE Society organization. Difficult to see, but note that the ASHRAE membership is the dominant force for ASHRAE. The board of directors and all committees and councils report to the members through the board. All board members, again, are elected by ASHRAE members and associates. I'll leave this on the screen for just a moment so you can see you've got the ASHRAE membership. The nominating committee reports the membership the foundation, which is where we retain all our funds, reports to the membership, and so does the board of directors. And all those committees report through the board of directors to the members. So the members are by far the dominant force within ASHRAE. So why ASHRAE? Why join ASHRAE? This is the critical question for you. Are you interested in designing, installing, and operating heating, cooling, and refrigeration systems? Reducing the use of electricity and fossil fuels in facilities? Assuring thermally acceptable green buildings? And opportunities to be part of innovative building systems designs and assisting in development of standards of design and methods of testing. ASHRAE also offers opportunities for professional developments. My own professional advancement naturally led me to ASHRAE. My engineering discipline was civil engineering. I was interested in thermodynamics, heat transfer, and fluid flow, which led to an interest in HVAC&R. After talking my way into an interview, I was offered a job with a major HVAC manufacturing company. And I'll tell you a little bit about this talking into that interview. They came to our campus to interview people. I knew I wanted to work with this company, but I saw the notification late and all the interviews were closed. So I waited outside the door until the gentleman who was doing the interviewing was going to lunch, and I insisted on an interview, which he did accept. So that's what I say, I talked myself into that interview. The company provided 6 months of intensive HVAC&R design training for residential, multi-story, and institutional buildings, as well as specialty systems. ASHRAE standards were often referenced for these designs, and ASHRAE was the go-to resource. During my 10-year career with this product manufacturer, my roles included selling engineered solutions through product offerings. As an office manager, I continued a sales role, but developed management skills, including financial, planning, and executing company directives. As a specialty developer, I introduced an entirely new corporate product to the marketplace. Next, I spent 2.5 years with a design-build HVAC&R contractor, designing HVAC&R systems, pricing contracting work, directing installations, and training operators and owners on functionality of industrial systems or their installed systems. In 1975, I established my own design-build contracting firm, which I sold in 2007. The company continues to be active to this day. My technical training came from ASHRAE. As a design-build contractor, connections made in ASHRAE gave me access to expertise beyond my own local area. I digress to tell a little bit of a story about the activities within ASHRAE. I met several contractors, design-build contractors, who were in small refrigeration systems to do with specialty designs for industrial facilities. If I ran into a problem, I could call one of these ASHRAE people who I had met, and we discussed problems and looked at solutions. And this was very valuable to me because when I had problems, I couldn't go to my local associates because they were my competitors. So this gave me access to a broader range of people where I could actually discuss finding solutions to problems. So ASHRAE became my source of technical upgrading as well. And as my career developed, in turn, I was able to share my expertise with my ASHRAE colleagues. My first society activities were on 2 of over 110 different technical committees. I also became involved in chapter and regional activities and served in a variety of roles locally. Many volunteer years and appointments led to the board of directors and eventually to the great honor of serving as 15-16 year. Now we're going to talk a bit about student support. Do you want to, are there any questions to date so far?
No, there's none yet.
Okay, we'll continue.
Sounds good.
Being ASHRAE president led to the wonderful chance to meet students like you all over the world. For example, an ASHRAE student event in Manila was held in conjunction with the Region 13 Chapters Regional Conference in August of 2015. 148 students from 7 chapters throughout the region participated. And this is a picture of them all behind me. For many of these students, it was a first opportunity to meet ASHRAE executives and to be personally exposed to ASHRAE's technical capability. After I talked to these students, each and every one of them wanted to have an individual photograph with me. 2.5 hours later, we left the conference, and my face was really almost cracking because I was smiling for that whole time. Chapter sponsors all student branches and encourages attendance at their meetings, sometimes providing subsidized or free meals. Networking with industry professionals occurs at these meetings and is a first point of contact for interaction with the HVAC&R industry. Chapter committee participation allows soft skills development and knowledge exchange. Examples include leadership, management, and organizing activities. Chapters often offer subsidies to attend ASHRAE conferences and training programs, but participation is up to you. There's an annual design competition, and it requires all teams to design or select for the same building in the same climate zone, or to design a sustainable building using an integrated design approach. Teams compete in one of 3 categories. The first category is HVAC design calculation. It looks for good applications of ASHRAE standards 55, 62.1, and 90.1. Category 2 is HVAC system selection. It focuses on applying standard 189.1, as well as the USGBC lead rating system. And category 3 is the integrated sustainable design category, and it's for integrated architecture and engineering with an emphasis, students working together toward a net zero building design. Chapter members will assist student teams with their chosen projects. To learn more, go to the ASHRAE website, and under the drop-down menu for membership and conferences, go to the student zone where the details are shown. The 2021 design competition focuses on a new building on a higher education campus in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. The final HVAC system selection design for the proposed building will address the following major design goals: low life cycle costs, low environmental impact, comfort and health, creative high performance green design, and synergy with the architecture. The 2021 SETI Family Foundation Applied Engineering Challenge focuses on designing an indoor farming system in a single or multi-story residence. The design should be suitable for the student's locale, considering space temperature, humidity, lighting, acoustics, outdoor climate conditions, and integration into the facility. The Applied Engineering Challenge changes annually to encourage student-led groups to find solutions to comfort, cooling, and water challenges in regional or local communities. The awards for these 2 competitions are, for first place, $2,000 plus a representative from the team will receive free transportation, 2 nights lodging, and $100 in expenses for attendance at the 2022 ASHRAE Winter Meeting to be held in Las Vegas, Nevada. The award will be presented at the ASHRAE plenary. For second, third, and Rising Star awards, a representative from the team will receive free transportation, 2 nights lodging, and the 2022 ASHRAE meeting to be held in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the award will be presented at the ASHRAE student program. Through its scholarships, ASHRAE seeks to motivate students worldwide to pursue an engineering or technology career in HVAC&R. The Society Scholarship Program serves the public interest by aiding in the education of men and women to become qualified to practice as engineers in HVAC&R. ASHRAE has awarded more than $1.5 million to more than 300 deserving students. I must tell you, in all the numbers I'm giving here, these are in US dollars. The scholarships help to reduce the financial burdens of obtaining an engineering education. There are more than 20 scholarships available through ASHRAE, with even more available through our local ASHRAE chapters. The ASHRAE Senior Undergraduate Project Grant Program provides grants to engineering, technical, and architectural schools worldwide. Our goal is to increase student knowledge, learning, and awareness of the HVAC&R industry. The professor or advisor leading the course or project must apply for the grant. $5,000 is the maximum award per team, and the deadline is December 15th annually. Scholarships are awarded based on the following criteria: full-time enrollment in an accredited undergraduate engineering or engineering technology program, a cumulative grade point average of 3.0, 3 letters of recommendation, potential service to the HVAC&R profession, the financial need of the student, and the leadership qualities, as well as the student's work ethic. The Graduate Student Grants and Aid Program awards $10,000 based on the following criteria. Academic performance is worth 20 points. Applicants submit a plan for procedure and a plan for publication of the thesis research results. A maximum of 30 points are awarded for this element of the application. The faculty advisor makes a recommendation based upon the student's involvement in ASHRAE activities, academic achievements, and an ability to carry out the research project, with up to 20 points based upon these recommendations. The student is strongly encouraged to be an ASHRAE member and participate in activities such as a student branch or a local chapter. The faculty advisor is expected to be an ASHRAE member and should demonstrate a history and/or future potential for involvement within ASHRAE activities. 30 points are awarded for this last component. ASHRAE offers students a significant discount on many of its publications. The online Student Zone page will lead you to all the publications in the student store. This list shows typical publications that students most frequently purchase. For example, the handbooks which describe ASHRAE standards are very popular, and some universities base courses on these handbooks. The graduate student grants, ASHRAE offers many web resources, including the student membership and meetings listings, information on maintaining an active branch and establishing a new student branch. We discussed this earlier, Alfred. You want to look for student branches all over England in all the universities, which is a great goal. It gives you links to our online jobs board, and it gives opportunities for employers to post student internships. Specific information on each of the scholarships, grants, and design programs are listed, and links to our K-12 and college resources, programs, and handouts, student activities, news, and awards. Okay, again, have we got any questions at this point, Alfred?
I have one question for you, and it kind of goes back to earlier in the beginning. So you mentioned kind of how whenever you had a technical question, you would reach out to your extended network, just because I guess some of your closer network were your competitors. I think that's like a really good point, especially something that is important for starting earlier to build that network. Can you kind of talk about how you went about building that network a little bit, and then maybe offering any advice how I guess like students or anyone else could kind of do the same thing? Because I think it is pretty important to make sure you have, because as an individual, you're never going to know everything on your own. But I think like one of the benefits, as you mentioned, was that network and being able to go out and find someone who has that technical expertise to kind of help you along whenever you hit a roadblock.
Well, that's one of those things that was, my basic theme when I was the president of ASHRAE in 2015, 2016, and that theme was making connections. So it's a matter of going to, my first involvement with ASHRAE was not at the local chapter area. It was actually within the society meetings, the winter meeting and the annual meeting in the summertime. These are big meetings. There are lots of people that come from all over the world. And it was really through the hallway conversations where I met people who were were in businesses that were similar to mine, and we had similar problems, and we all kind of talked to each other, and then we got to be friends. And through that friendship and networking, that's how how I built this network, so that we actually all could work with each other, not having to go to our local competitors to look at problems that we were having difficulties with. So that's how I built that. It was a matter of taking the time to go to these various meetings and talking to people. Really is what it boiled down to. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, I think that does answer the question. And then kind of we have another question from you to piggyback on that. So he says one of the biggest things I think on students' minds, especially as graduation approaches, is how to find a job. Now you kind of mentioned like what you did, which I think is kind of funny, kind of demanding an interview. But could you kind of expand a little bit on how getting involved with ASHRAE helps I guess, to find that job or make it a little bit easier on that job search after graduation?
Well, I can tell you a little bit of a story about in my own local chapter here in Toronto. We have a big chapter. We have about 400 members, and at our meetings, we'll maybe get anywhere between 150 to 180 people. Usually there's a cocktail hour before we have our dinner, and then we have a speaker. And in that cocktail hour, people again make connections. And I know that 2 years ago, at least 15 people found jobs just by talking to people at that meeting.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's a place where you can get to know people in our industry. And our industry is always looking for people, particularly as we, the boomers, are aging out of the place. And we need you guys to help us, make it, continue having the organization. And that's where you find that's one of the best places to find work, is to go to these ASHRAE meetings and talk to people in the industry, because the industry is very broad. Like, we've got 110 different technical committees that are involved with the activities that we do at ASHRAE, and that's a lot of differential places that you can actually look for things that are of interest to you and of interest to people in the business.
Okay, nice. And then, so obviously a lot of our attendees today are from the UK, and I guess the ASHRAE networks within the UK are not as strong as they are in the US currently, but I guess the goal is to kind of build that. Can you kind of talk about how maybe students in the UK can make the most out of these ASHRAE networks? Because for instance, going to some of the conferences might be a little cost prohibitive, just like flight alone. Going to maybe Vegas or Chicago or something like that.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, one of the places that, and I talk a little bit about that in the next slides, but one of the places where you actually can, with lesser expense, as it were, if you attend the chapter regional conferences. The region of Europe has an annual conference every year, which is called a chapter's regional conference. If you attend those, then you're actually talking to people from all across Europe, all the countries there. So that gives you a broader view of what's available in the industry. And I'm not sure now what's going to happen that's with Brexit and what that's going to do with your relationship with Europe. But this gives you some, I'm not talking about the politics. I'm talking about the actual, the ability to actually move around from country to country.
Mm.
And that's one way you can do it. That's now, and I realize that the ASHRAE network in England is not that strong, but we have over 600 members, throughout the British Isles, which is quite a number of people. And they also are involved with SIBSE. SIBSE's provides some of the same openings. So sometimes SIBSE chapters and ASHRAE chapters actually kind of combine with each other. So that gives you some idea how to get to it. Again, does that answer the question?
No, yeah, that does. And then I'll just add before I give it back to you. Excuse me. Karine has mentioned that because the summer conference has been moved digital, it's a virtual conference that's only $99 this year. So I think that makes it like a little bit more accessible. And she has posted a link, I think, for more information about the virtual conference this year. So people can head to the meeting chat and click on that for more information.
And Alfred, there's one other thing that I have not mentioned. I'll mention later, but all the technical committees, the meetings are, you can actually attend the meetings, remotely or virtually. They once you get back to doing activities as we did before, if you want to look at, one of the technical committees, you can actually join their meetings, via telephone or via Skype or whatever. So there is an opportunity to virtually attend ASHRAE meetings without actually being there.
Nice. And then I'll also add, sorry, just quickly, he has also mentioned that the regional chapters, I guess for Europe, will be hosted in Spain this year, but they're being also operated online. So that just offers another opportunity, I think, for anyone who's looking to get more involved through those means. All right, so I'll give it back to you, David.
Okay, so after graduation, there are ASHRAE activities and events which may be of interest to you, and I think we sort of touched on that a bit here. Chapter regional conferences, or CRCs, usually occur in July and August. But I believe in Europe, you guys are more like October, but that does, it doesn't really matter. This is annual. And with those conferences, you can serve or lead on conference organizing committees. This is where you make connections. Attend the technical sessions, participate in the business sessions to better understand ASHRAE activities and opportunities. And again, network with people from a much larger area. Student events work well for competition winners and chapter-sponsored students. The Student Yay Mixer is a great networking opportunity. Yay is Young Engineers in ASHRAE. The student breakfast at the winter meeting often has over 300 attendees from all over the world and is a great chance to meet students who have established an interest in HVAC&R. One very popular career opportunity for ASHRAE members is Leadership U. Successful applicants are fully funded to attend an ASHRAE conference. They shadow an ASHRAE vice president during this conference. All meetings, programs, and activities are open to the Leadership U participants. Networking opportunities with experienced engineers occur at the meeting social events, which include the plenary, where there'll be 500 to 600 people, the welcome party, where there'll be probably about 700 people, the president's lunch, and informally. ASHRAE members are generally pretty good hosts, and most of them are really approachable. The HVAC&R Workforce Development Foundation estimates 100,000 replacement jobs in the next 10 years with the baby boomer retirements in the U.S. Jobs are available everywhere. HVAC&R provides interesting jobs and good income. Diverse levels of skills are required, so there's great opportunities and a broad number of jobs available. ASHRAE supports lifelong learning through ASHRAE conferences and online. In excess of 300 publications disseminate our collective knowledge in the HVAC&R industry. And we have 6 certification examinations, design a method of test guidelines and standards, and special publications. Our knowledge is shared through continuing education and training, including self-directed learning courses, instructor-led courses at ASHRAE conferences, chapters, and in-house company programs. There are quarterly tech hours on topics of current and more universal interest, and a suite of online learning topics, e-learning topics. The tech hour that's up right now is by Richard Ruley, who is from London and is a former president of ASHRAE. The 6 certifications include the Building Energy Assessment Professional, the Building Energy Modeling Professional, the Commissioning Process Management Professional, the Healthcare Design Professional, the High Performance Building Design Professional, and the Operation and Performance Management Professional. ASHRAE has developed a university course on building energy auditing and analysis using the ASHRAE Building EQ rating system as the learning framework. This course is a traditional 3-credit college course for upper-level undergraduates or graduate students with previous coursework in both thermal sciences or building physics and building and mechanical electrical systems. Potential students could be in engineering technology, architecture, construction management, or environmental studies. The course involves 10 weeks of classroom instruction followed by 5 weeks of hand-on work in teams under the direction of local industry members. It revolves around a representative campus or community building for each student team. It's intended to be a partnership between local ASHRAE organizations and an academic department and instructor. ASHRAE can provide professional mentors or student teams as well as potential co-instructors with extensive domain knowledge for the course. Buildings for energy auditing could be provided through the institution's facilities management organization, or it could be drawn from local community facilities such as homeless shelters, public housing, or food banks. Additional information is available on the website. With all of this, the question is, why not join for only $20? It's easy. Again, at the ASHRAE website, under the Membership and Conferences tab, go to the Student Zone where the application. The student branch will open opportunities in the HVAC&R industry that could make an impact on our broad human society. We want you to become ASHRAE members, and we offer this SmartStart program to help you transition to full membership gradually over 3 years. Together, we are stronger. Students are our future, and ASHRAE members offer mentorship into the HVAC&R industry. In conclusion, students offer ASHRAE fresh ideas, future members, and leaders. ASHRAE offers students lifelong learning opportunities and networking connections with industry leaders. Thank you very much for this opportunity and your attention. Are there any further questions and comments?
That was brilliant. Thank you, David. So we have one question. It is, there are quite a few attendees who are not from the HVAC&R industry. Could you talk about the technical remit of ASHRAE?
Well, ASHRAE is, our mission. We're looking at building science. And that involves a lot more than just the physical building itself. And you're looking at, how is electricity produced? Is feeding your building? Where does your heating stuff come from? So those technical committees go way beyond just the building itself, and they get into the detail of equipment. So it's so broad, it's very hard to really answer that question exactly. But anybody who's studying environmental science is somebody who would actually have, there are topics involved in ASHRAE that are very interesting to them.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and I guess I'll just piggyback kind of back to the technical committees that you mentioned. I think it was Sharifa who mentioned earlier that she's studying BIM, but was also interested in more of like sustainability. And so when you kind of look at the technical committees, I kind of see them as like additional ways to explore other interests in the built environment. So as you mentioned, there's there's a committee, actually, I think maybe two, that actually address sustainability in buildings to various aspects. So that's like a good way to kind of, I think, supplement your knowledge and maybe kind of pursue another subject or topic within the built environment that you may find interesting. Or if you have like a topic that you are kind of weak in, you can kind of use those technical committees to beef that up, and then again kind of build your network in there and have other technical experts who you can ask various questions. Personally, I when I started working in the industry, I didn't really know anything about control theory, and that was like a big part of at least consulting design, making sure that everything works properly together. So I actually joined the control theory and application committee as a provisional member. And the good thing I think about these committees is just you don't really need to know anything about the committee when you go in, just because one, people are so welcoming, and two, I think like David said, just by like stepping up and asking questions and letting yourself be known, you gradually learn, and you're also gradually given more opportunity within that committee to kind of increase your knowledge and then increase your skill set. So I think I joined the technical committee probably 4 or 5 years ago. And then I think last year I was tapped to kind of review someone's slides because they were doing a presentation on control theory. So it was kind of a cool evolution to go from knowing almost nothing to kind of having a hand in helping someone else put together a presentation on control theory to present to other people. So I think that's like one of the really important and very easy. As a member, you can join that no cost whatsoever. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit story about me and one of my first real eye openers at ASHRAE. This is many years ago. I attended a forum, and there was a professor, with a PhD who was going on about the topic, and I don't even remember the topic, so that's irrelevant. I saw him, during this forum, he said something, and as a practitioner, I felt that it really was not practical at all in the field, so I questioned him on it. And he responded, but after it, I was in my 30s, and I was just really learning the industry. So I saw him in the hallway after the forum, and I apologized for asking this, what I thought was maybe a dumb question. And he said, "Look," he said, "we this is why ASHRAE works well, because we are the people who do the research, but we don't know what questions to research. We need you as practitioners to come and tell us what those questions are, so that we actually can do the research that will help you solve your problems." And I think that's one of the great strengths of ASHRAE. And the other one is with our volunteers, because this to me is one of the very important aspects of how ASHRAE is successful. There are no corporate memberships. We are all volunteers. Now, when you come in a room, you'll have competitors all coming into the room, but they come to talk about technology. They don't come to talk about their product being better than somebody else's. And that's, I think, the non-commercial side of ASHRAE and the volunteer way that we build all our products and services that we have available are through these volunteers who really want to talk about technology and improving the built environment. I think that's one of the great strengths of ASHRAE.
Yeah, definitely. So we have another question more specific to student activities. in the UK. Do you have any suggestions on how we can grow student activities in the UK? Specifically, like kind of activities that you've seen that have worked in the past?
Well, again, that's, part of that is up to you as the volunteers of the student branches. I mean, first of all, you have to, you need to have a chapter somewhere not that far away, or it actually can be quite a distance away. I mean, and they have a great number of student branches in Pakistan, and they're all over the country. So, I mean, what you need is a university where you've got a group of students that have some interest in, topics generally around HVAC&R that want together. And Alfred, as you said, if you get 10 people and an advisor, that advisor can talk to an ASHRAE chapter somewhere and get them to support them and get a charter and then start your chapter. But the chapter itself, it's up to you as the volunteers. And I think you guys have done a great job putting together these forums, which is one of those ways that says to students, there's really value in being part of ASHRAE and participating in a student branch. So it's word of mouth, and you're the ones that get those messages out. You're much better doing it than I am.
Okay. So I'll offer it up. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions, but feel free to put them in the chat and I will convey them. One question I had, so I think this is always a good question for kind of people who have a vast amount of experience. So when you were president, I think in 2015, 2016, you said your kind of main topic was like connecting and networking. And kind of that was like a main theme of looking towards the future of ASHRAE and the built environment. In 2020, what would you say your, I guess, main idea or main theme would be kind of looking forward for the industry? Whether it's focusing on maybe a specific social skill or topic that kind of brings everyone together, or maybe it's like more technical in terms of smart buildings. We need to focus more on those, or smart cities or something like that.
Well, I would say there's two topics right now that are very, very important. Number one is we've had a world in lockdown, and we've got to come out of that. So one of the things that can happen when the building stands idle because people are not occupying it, there's really some important things you need to do to get that building up and running again. Like, for instance, you've got to make sure that all the water systems have been flushed out. You ventilated the building properly and those sorts of things. That's going to be an important issue. But the other important issue is going to be, we're going to have to look, and I know in the US and Canada, the big number of people who have died from this disease are in nursing homes or in long-term care facilities for the elderly. So it's a question to look at those environments to see is there anything different that we can do from a ventilation point of view to reduce the load of virus within that environment. So those are areas where there's got to be a lot of study done, and there's got to be a lot of look at how we ventilate those places to make sure that they're going to be as disease-free as possible. And that's going to be a big task as we unwind these lockdowns around the world, in my mind.
Yeah.
But the other great question, and I think ASHRAE's been working on this for a very long time, is climate change. And I think that's going to be one of the drivers of our economy and one of the drivers of what we do in ASHRAE in terms of the technology that's required to reduce energy consumption.
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, kind of just piggybacking on the operation of buildings. I was actually following one of my old professors, and she did a study on, I think, ventilation requirements and kind of looking at particles in the air. And I think she came to some partial conclusions that she mentioned may have kind of put us in a better position in terms of buildings for the current COVID situation and stuff like that. And I guess other people kind of chimed in and lamented on the fact that, oh, like we've done these studies, but nothing was ever really implemented in terms of maybe standards or improving design practices. And I think it kind of ties into what you were saying earlier about you have someone who's doing research and maybe they're trying to connect better with people who are actually in the industry. So that tie between the professional industry and like the academic side. Could you kind of talk about maybe in the future how you like kind of have more cohesion between the two, more communication, and kind of then have better results and outputs between those two? Because I think those are two like very crucial but very separate sides when you're kind of looking at making the improvements in actually application.
Well, right now, Bill Bonfleth, who was the president of ASHRAE 2 years before me, is running a task force that's looking at infectious disease control. We have a standing committee, which is the Environmental Health Committee, plus we have an ongoing standard, which is 62.1, which is ventilation. And amongst that group of three, they're looking at all these things and trying to determine what is the best methodology that we have available to us currently going forward. And that's, ASHRAE's been involved in this stuff for many, many years. I mean, the ventilation standard goes way, way back. And by the way, I don't know whether you realize or not, Alfred, we are now 125 years old.
Yeah, I did. So I did know that.
we're not brand new on the block.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, nice. Okay, so we have another question, and this is kind of more of I think it's kind of a general question, but it's for our branch. Would you be happy to mentor any students? Do you get involved with any of that? Specifically, I guess, at UCL and within the UCL branch?
Sure.
Okay.
Mentorship is a funny thing. I mean, we have a specific mentorship program in ASHRAE that I don't really totally agree with. I think that, to mentor people, you have to have a relationship with each other, you have to connect with each other, and you have to have, some mutual interest. Otherwise, it doesn't work very well. But I'm certainly interested in going on with something like this. To do a virtual mentorship would be great. I wouldn't have any problem with that at all. Now with Zoom and Team and all the various technology we have available, you can actually talk to each other. You can see people's emotions. You can see how they react.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all learning definitely like the virtual aspect of communication is a lot stronger than we thought, and it's making it easier to communicate across the globe. So we have another question from Kyle. Do you think that sustainability may fall by the wayside in order to design safer buildings regarding the viruses? And are building service engineers of the future going to be overlapping into the medical sciences? Or do you think that they should work in conjunction with medical professionals, I guess particularly addressing healthcare or laboratory type buildings?
Well, in answer to the last question first, I would say that if you don't work with each other, you're going to be working at cross purposes. And I think that's absolutely essential. And the areas where I think we really have, the major problems are in hospitals, long-term care facilities, and these kinds of environments. And one of the things that we don't know. I mean, we know a lot about how we can break down with ultraviolet light and all that sort of thing, but we have no idea of the loading of how much these viruses are within the space. And in my opinion, I don't think we're going to be able to understand the ventilation rates we require until we know what those kinds of loads are. And it's going to take a lot of research to get that.
Okay.
So that's where we have to. That's where we have to interact with the medical world. Is that they do the research in this area, and ASHRAE, we don't have either the funds or the technical capability to do this research.
Okay. So just like
we know how to do we know how to do the ventilation, but we don't know how to do the research on the viral loading.
Exactly. Yeah, and I guess kind of piggybacking on that question, it seems as though like a lot of senior living facilities or like care homes are kind of being hit as like hotspots. And I think typically when those are designed, they're designed as residential spaces. So I'm just kind of curious, like, do you think maybe those should maybe be reevaluated and designed more like maybe a hospital or closer to a hospital?
There's certainly going to be. I mean, there's two conditions that cause the problem. Number one, do you have the required ventilation? But number two, that is really the big question, is that a lot of them, there'll be 2 or 3 or 4 people in a room.
Yeah.
And that's a big issue in terms of spreading of any disease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I'll just kind of piggyback on that. You'll see that Lubo put in the chat. The London chapter had or has several webinars that they posted so far, kind of talking about the ASHRAE infectious aerosols document and talking a little bit more about that topic and how it applies to maybe design and application, and kind of where we're currently at. So you can find the link there, ashrae-london.com. Cool. So I'll open it up. I don't see any more questions, but if anyone wants to maybe chime in or write in some last questions, so probably give like a minute for anyone to do that. And then Kyle says, thank you, David, for answering his questions. And then in the meantime, I will kind of just do a little wrap up. So first, I'd like to thank you, David, so much for taking time and kind of talking a little bit more about ASHRAE and then answering some of our more general and maybe a little bit more technical questions. I think it was a great presentation, and I definitely learned a lot more that I didn't know. So thank you for that. And then thank you to everyone who has attended. As always, we appreciate, and we are putting these on to kind of educate students, but also anyone else who is more interested in ASHRAE and kind of just the built environment in general. Okay, so another question popped up. Does ASHRAE in general provide consultancy for the companies or for the industry, i.e. companies, and not only individuals? I think I asked that.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. All the standards and the information that we have is really to do with we're in the design world. So, for instance, if you're working for a consulting engineer, you'll refer to, as an individual, you'll refer to various ASHRAE standards, but that's how your company has a better, can do better design work, that presents to their clientele. So it's a combination of individuals and corporates.
Okay.
But we're really in the education and training business as much as anything. We're a publishing organization, but we are in business to serve our members.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Perfect. So I think that was the answer that was being sought. So I think on that note, that will end our question and discussion. So once again, thank you to everybody. Thank you, David. And I kind of just want to do maybe some last minute housekeeping for the UCL ASHRAE branch. Throughout the rest of the summer, we are looking to continue our summer virtual talk series. So be on the lookout for future talks that we'll be hosting, and you can find that also on the ASHRAE-London.com website that was shared, and there's a tab at the top that says Student Branch. And then I also want to bring to the attention a event that's being held by the UK London and Southeast chapter next week on May 19th. And that topic is creating zero carbon communities, the role of digital twins. And I believe some employees of Integrated Environmental Solutions will be presenting that. So I provided a link there that you can sign up for. And then finally, if you want to join our mailing list or subscribe, please go to the Student Branch website and you'll find all of our social media, so you can join that. Or you can send an email to the contact email, which is UCL. I'll actually put it in here as well. It's uclstudentbranch@ashrae.london.com. So if you email that, you'll be added to our student mailing list, and you'll be kept up to date of all our future endeavors and whatnot. Let me see. So yeah, I think it was a pretty good session. Once again, thank you, David, and thank you everyone for attending. We'll see you guys next time.
Okay, Albert, may I just interject one final thing?
Oh yeah.
If anybody wants to contact me, my email address is dunderwood, which is pretty easy, at what we've been discussing, HVAC&R, and my initials tdu.com. So if anybody wants to contact me, that's how you can get a hold of me.
Yeah, and I just put that in the chat for anyone who wants to just grab that really quickly. I mean, I think David would be a perfect person for any questions, or if you're looking for a mentor, he seems to be your guy. So yeah.
Alfred, thank you so much for your time. Thank everybody for attending. I really appreciate your interest. So thank you.